Hey, what's going on everyone? Bobby from RepairShopr and welcome to Feature Friday. This week we're going to be doing a setup guide and we're going to be setting up Xero accounting in RepairShopr. I've been working with some folks that have been joining us and thought it had been a while since we actually went through and set one of these up. So let's actually do that. For those of you that aren't aware, RepairShopr is integrated with two accounting softwares, QuickBooks and Xero. Today we're going to be going through the Xero setup wizard. Aim is to hopefully answer some questions that come up frequently and show everybody what the setup process looks like. So I cheated a little bit and I was already in the App Center, but to get to the App Center, of course, go to the admin page and then select App Center. Or if you have an App Center tab, you can click that to get here as well. And you're going to want to look for the Xero logo. Click Xero Accounting. Next, there will be a Connect Now button. When you do that, you're going to be rerouted to Xero. Now, this is a test account. So for you, it's going to ask you for your Xero credentials. For me, it's just, again, it's a test account. So I'm just going to click Allow Access. Once you authenticate with Xero, it's going to reroute you back into RepairShopr, and you'll be presented with the Xero Settings wizard. Wow, what a mouthful. Anyway, let's jump on into this. First stop is going to be setting up your revenue account. And this is the account that you're going to use for your invoices when they get created. From the drop-down, you should see anything displayed that has a bank account type associated with it. I'm just going to select Sales, hit Next. Step 2 is where you pair all of your tax rates up between RepairShopr and Xero. Now, it's important coming into this that, of course, you have your tax rates already configured in Xero, as well as RepairShopr. Also note, though, if for some reason you mess something up here, you can go back and change this later in the tax rates section of RepairShopr. So this isn't like a one and done situation. This is something that can be changed at a later time. But on the left, you're going to see your RepairShopr tax rates, and on the right, you're going to see in the drop-down your Xero tax rates. Usually we find that they're named exactly the same, but if you're using a different naming convention, just probably line them up by the number. This number is the percentage from the Xero side. And just go through with as many tax rates as you may have, and then hit Next. Step 3 is we're going to be choosing what's called a default item code. Basically what this is used for is in your inventory, whenever you create a product in Xero, and I'll divert really quick to a product in RepairShopr, excuse me. So whenever you create a product in RepairShopr, because you want to manage your inventory in RepairShopr given the nature of the sync, it will, the name, the description, the price retail, and the price cost will automatically be created in Xero when you hit the save button for the product in RepairShopr. So what that means is when we create a product in RepairShopr and sync it to Xero, and it's created on that side, there will be a field that will appear when we're done with the wizard here that will show that it's linked to its Xero counterpart. And that means whenever it's added to an invoice, it will automatically grab the same product from the Xero inventory as well. And you can change the mapping manually should you choose. Some people do. It's up to you. However, going back to the wizard, there's this thing called a default item code or a fallback product of sorts. And what this is for is if you have a manual item, for example, or a part order, we ask that you choose a product from your Xero inventory, or Xero products as they call it, to be used as this fallback item. And so if a part order is added to an invoice from a ticket, for example, it would sync over to Xero and use the item that you specify here. So you should see a list of your Xero products. You'll want to choose whichever one you want, hit Next. It's important to note again that all of these steps, you can go back and actually change them at a later time should you want. So on step 4 here, we're talking about payments. And with the Xero integration, you have to choose an invoice account, and then you need to choose a payment account. And here you should see a list of all of your bank accounts that you can choose from. We'll go ahead and select that and hit next. Step 5, basically we are asking you at this point if you want to turn the sync on. By enabling it now and hitting next, the invoice auto sync will start in the background. And so if anyone creates a new invoice after that point, it will automatically sync over to Xero. Steps 6 and 7 involve importing things. Now, Xero calls their customer database contacts, and that includes vendors, of course, as well. We, of course, call customers customers. So when you see this import contacts, just know that you're pulling over your Xero customer database into RepairShopr. Now, we definitely recommend doing it this way if you have no customers in RepairShopr yet, because just like products in Xero, you have to link up your Xero customers to your RepairShopr customers. Hitting this button automates that. So we highly recommend doing it if your customer database is in Xero. Now, if it's not, you can skip this step and no harm will come to you of sorts, and the customers will start to sync over to Xero as you create invoices. So in this case, I'm just going to hit next. This step is doing exactly what you did for customers, but for products. So at this point, we definitely recommend, if your inventory is already in Xero, importing. That way everything is linked up and you don't have to worry about manually mapping products like I was talking about on this screen here. Again, you can skip this and come back at a later date if you want, or just choose to not do it. After that, you are all set and you can hit all done, and you will be taken to the Xero Settings page. I do want to take a moment and actually talk about the Xero Settings page as well, just so folks are familiar with it in case they need to come back and turn things on and off, and some other features that aren't directly in the setup wizard that you may want to know about. So first thing is, you basically can enable or disable the integration with this first choice. You can choose, if you're not taking payments in RepairShopr, to turn payments off but continue to sync invoices. If you want, you can actually also turn off the purchase order sync, should you choose. There is a feature in Xero as well that will automatically create, in the Xero integration, that will automatically create a bill inside of Xero when a RepairShopr purchase order is completed. That's all on by default. You can turn that off if you want. There is a feature that will attempt to import payments from Xero. So this usually pairs up, these two usually pair up when we see users that maybe have a gateway tied to Xero, but it's not one we're integrated with, so they're taking payments on the Xero side. Well, this option will allow you to bring those payments into RepairShopr. The next thing is sync all RepairShopr products to Xero. If you're managing your inventory basically at all, I highly recommend doing this. This makes sure that your RepairShopr inventory is communicating with your Xero inventory. It reduces the amount of potential errors you could have, and also the amount of tasks you need to do between the two softwares. These next fields are probably familiar from the setup wizard. You can choose your revenue account for your invoices, your bank account for your payments, and your fallback code. If you, say 3 months from now, change your revenue account, and in this dropdown you're not seeing the new account, you can actually click this link right here, and in about 30 to 60 seconds or so, all of these accounts will get resynced up. Moving along on the page, if you are syncing your inventory, you're going to see this huge list here. It's about the first 50 or so items in your inventory. What you really need to know about this page is that this is just showing that Xero is in fact sending over inventory product items. You can update your inventory. Let me back up real quick. You can update the listing of Xero products that are available in the product section. So actually, let's save Xero settings really quick And then I'll show you an example of that. If we head over to a product detail page, there is now this field called linked Xero item. And if you start typing into it, like this particular product, you'll see a selection here. And whatever is listed here is refreshed when you click this Resync Products and Services button. So if you're manually syncing products, for example, and you're not seeing the product you created on the Xero side listed in this drop-down, head to the Xero Settings and click Resync Products and Services. This queues up a job. It makes no changes to your inventory. It'll, depending on the size of your inventory, either be immediate or take a few minutes to update, but it will refresh the list of IDs, basically. Oh man, that was a long road to just get a little bit of water. But anyway, you get the idea. At the bottom of the page, you have a bunch of import and sending options. Any of the buttons here in orange that say send, these are jobs that can only get pushed once a week because they queue up massive jobs to, for example, send your entire invoice database over to Xero. So we intentionally restrict people's ability to do that because you, A, should definitely be doing the automatic sync. It's kind of the purpose of the integration. But B, you don't want to slow down your sync at all by queuing up these giant jobs. And like I mentioned before during the setup, you can import contacts, or excuse me, customers, and you can also import products at any given time. The rest of this stuff, like re-authenticate to Xero, the security tokens should automatically re-authenticate, but you can kind of kick it a little bit if you're getting a authentication error. You can restart the wizard at any time, and you can disconnect from Xero at any time. So, a couple things I also want to point out, just Q of A stuff. Q of A. Quality of life. Wow. This is what I get for not running on a script today. Easy way to know if an invoice, for example, has synced. A new column will show up when you activate the integration with the Xero ID. Also really handy is inside the invoice, for example, you will see a Xero ID here that tells you that the invoice was successfully created in Xero. If this is here, at some point the invoice was created in Xero. Now, if you're not seeing it, sometimes that could be because the invoice got voided and it's no longer showing as active. It's good to note that if that invoice was voided in Xero, the ID doesn't change on the RepairShopr side. So this is kind of your indication that there was activity in the Xero side and that Xero replied to us with an ID. Let's see. You can also do the same for payments. This invoice doesn't have a payment, so let's back up one. If we go to the payments index page, there will also be a synced ID flag for payments, so you can see what has synced and what has not. We are working on the same thing for purchase orders. Let's see if it's been added yet or not. It has. Excellent. So we have sync ID flags here that allow you to know when your purchase orders have automatically synced over. One more little detail I want to point out while I'm on purchase orders is if you want a bill to be automatically created on a purchase order, make sure when you have it set to the finish status that you have a due date entered specifically before it enters the finish status. Otherwise, you can see here, it'll throw an error if it's not set before the status is changed to finished, because Xero does require a due date on your bills in order to be created. If I were to wait, hang out for a couple minutes, this will go away on a refresh. Now that the due date's there, it's just going to take a moment for it to resync a second time. But as far as that goes, I think this video has gone on quite long enough. It's probably one of my longest that I've done in Feature Friday, but hopefully this is valuable. Anyway, let me know if these kinds of setup guides are great. Hit that like button, leave comments, let us know if you want to see more of this stuff with the other integrations. And yeah, I appreciate your time. Have a great day.